Yeah, I mean, I just want to get this action going again. This is a weird time for a pause to come through, but yeah, you mentioned it. Poppy generally is going to have a slower clear than the Hecarim, of course. Does have the bombies to help make up for it, just at least a little bit. But you end up kind of just neutralizing a lot of that gold efficiency that Rango has been able to build up off of those early kills. The kill top lane, the 2 kills bot, kind of snowballing your team, trying to play more for that, as it does look like the reconnect comes through. I see an unpause in the client chat. Give me just a second to check on that again.
No, they're not ready.
Yeah, all right. We should be getting in shortly, I hope.
Let's see. Probably somebody took the time to...
Sometimes that will happen as well. It's just nature of pauses. People are like, I don't know how long it's going to take. Let me go use the bathroom real quick and then come back in like 2 minutes and pray.
Man.
But,
all right.
hell,
So,
oh well.
What do you think is the best ult for Silas to take? Other... Go ahead.
Malphite? Like, that's not a question, right?
Yeah. I guess
AP scaling on Malphite R is really strong. You have it pretty frequently because it scales off of the enemy Malphite's R cooldown. Really, really nice, by the way. But if you, for whatever reason, don't have that ult up, you have the Talia R for the roam potential. You have the Hecarim R for more team fight. Don't take a Phelios R. It's really bad unless you somehow get Blue Gun, which is still kind of not great, but better than any other option. And Rakan R is mediocre. You can kind of hit it onto 1, maybe 2 people if you're lucky. But it is not nearly as good as it is on Rakan. So... Oh, actually, Wrath sidesteps the grand entrance somehow, but still dies. So, good night, Wrath. Alpha will find this kill. The bailout comes through, but it's not going to be enough. Church of Rango actually picks that one up through that bailout. So, you tried, Wrath, and I respect it, but the play still goes over to TD Aftermath.
Oh, get ready for a pause after the pop. There we go.
Riot Games, ladies and gentlemen. This bug has existed for years.
Listen,
it's fine.
At least it didn't pause during the team fight. That's what I was worried about.
Yeah, I mean, that has happened as well. I think that might have even happened at a pro event once, but it's a mess when it does happen. You just end up with like really weird pause timers sometimes. But yeah, I mean, this is kind of what we were saying, right? If you don't play towards bot side, if you are SLS, if TD's bot lane is able to get off the ground, and sure, Aphelios is 0-1, but MF's 1 and 2. If she falls behind, it is really hard for her this game to get back in against Hecarim, Malphite, Rakan. Like, it's a tough game to be a mid-game Misfortune from behind.
Yeah, I mean, Misfortune can be the best ADC, but Rakan is probably the best counter to Misfortune, and especially if you know what you're doing as Rakan. Misfortune just presses R and then Rakan can just flash O or even just ult and W. And then Misfortune's damage is almost like all negated.
Yeah. We'll have to see how that comes through. I'm also interested to see what Kairos will end up building as that seismic shove comes through in mid. Of course, Kairos already using the E over that, or the Abscond over Infernosk's Warped Ground. I always forget Talia's E name. It's weird, but Fat Jester is hovering in the mid side. Phantom is here as well, showing it looks like we're going to be playing it towards that Rift Herald here in a second. Both supports in the area, but 4 people here first as Church of Rango is currently sitting in base.
Now, if you were Sentinels, who would you give the Herald to? I feel like you definitely want to skyrocket this coin, so I'll probably throw it top lane, but what do you think?
Yeah, it's either that or you're playing it bot trying to get the prio for the Drake and looking to get your MF back into the game as Cyber's on bad guns. Yeah, a little weird, but of note, TD Aftermath kind of reading this play will start up the Drake for themselves. A bit late to this response, but it doesn't look like there's any punish coming through, so will just be the trade of the neutrals for now as Banana Soul. At this point, I think you do just drop it top. You play to get this win out of control.
Exactly. I don't know why Poppy is just taking the Grump and the blue buff. You could still take your cake and eat it, and by that I just mean take the camps and then just drop it top. But it seems like Banana Soul is just angling towards another freeze. She definitely has a very big wave in the top lane. And she has the ability to just keep a freeze over there. But in this situation, I would say screw the freeze. Just scale out of control.
Yeah, I think there's a world now where if you're trying to play to... Okay, never mind. There's an on-the-way ping top. So you're pathing top with this. Hecarim's still in the bottom side. Alpha's on really good guns. Handshake comes through. Jester will find the Grand Entrance. Forces the flash out of Wrath. Ultimate goes through Alpha, but does not do a ton of work. Wrath actually finds the kill onto the Fat Jester. Bullet Time comes through with that bailout, but it will not be enough. Church of Rango finds that kill onto the lone AD carry. And Alpha finding their first kill of the game onto the Renata.
I mean, that's a good start. Misfortune, sure, you got a kill. You got a kill on the support. But at the end of the day, the definite winners are just the side of TD Aftermath. Because it's not really how many kills Misfortune gets, it's, this gank.
Kairos gets stunned up by the Unraveled Earth, and Infernosk will get pushed back, will flash away as well, but here comes the Fat Jester. Grand Entrance has been popped, but will not find much. Kairos actually goes back in, pops the ultimate himself, and will find the kill, flashes away. Kairos! Beautiful outplay in the mid lane.
So about the Rakan ultimate with Silas.
No, it's still garbage. Don't get me wrong.
I know.
Situations like that, it looks good. Alpha getting taken low. Will pop the Q, trying to heal up, but now taken to about 200 HP. Handshake goes wide, but Vaughn is in the area. Wrath just gonna auto him down. Press the attack comes through. Kairos healing up in the mid side as well. Just chilling there. Rift Herald popped in the bottom lane. I think that solo gold over to Poppy was up just a little too early, so unfortunate. I would say you want a lot of that onto your Misfortune, but a lot of pressure relieved in that bottom side for sure.
Well, speaking of gold, let's just take a quick look at our gold tabs. I say that as I'm not watching it. And the person with the most gold, of course, is the Poppy. And then Misfortune with 4.5k gold. That's a lot of gold. You definitely would have loved to see a lot more gold into the Misfortune, but after that Herald play, the tables might have turned for the side of Sentinels.
And especially with this pickup here, actually, we'll hold on to that as the Ghost is popped in the top lane. Viking might just have to ult away. Needlework comes through. First charge has been cast. Second comes through as well. The Snip's not going to land, but the final cast will force the Unstoppable Force away. Hecarim pinged out in the top side, but yeah, I did want to mention, with that gold, Aphelios building into Gale Force into Poppy, which is definitely a decision, and not one that I like.
Would you have liked to see the Immortal Shield bow instead?
Literally either one.
Okay.
Like, it's not a great option. Benesso gonna get challenging smited up in the top side. Meanwhile, Bot Alpha's gonna have to flash away, pops the Gale Force, but will not be able to get out. Grand Entrance lands onto 2. Bullet Time comes through as the hostile takeover lands as well. Berserk coming down. Alpha, barely does not do enough damage to his own support. So Fat Jester will be able to live for it now. Trying to get that reset off. Will not be able to do so quite yet, but Infernosk is in the area. Weaver's Wall is available. Moonlight Vigil does not land, and the Make It Rain will dissuade any further aggression. Kairos, though, finds Infernosk, will get that Seismic Shove down. Here comes the Petricide Burst. The auto's coming in from Wrath over the wall. Kairos, one more Kingslayer will do it, but the Grand Entrance comes through. The Weaver's Wall stolen away. Kairos takes a tower shot, has been ignited. There's 3 people stuck under a tower, but Kairos is taken low. Grand Entrance will be used. The abscond to get away. Phantom going to be taken low, but the bailout needs to come through. Will be able to do so. Finds the kill onto Infernos. Gravitum Gun will find the kill, though. Alpha Sire will be able to secure the 1-for-1 in a very sloppy sequence of events down bot.
Sloppy is the best way that I could describe it. Honestly, I'm happy. I'm dying happy with Phantom getting a kill on Infernos. It's up to the mid laners or just the other laners to take advantage of the fact that the mid laner died. No, they also have TP, but I feel like there's no need right now. You're gonna just always ult back to lane.
Yeah, and I mean, we mentioned how strong stealing the Weaver's Wall can be for Kairos, but
that wasn't the best practical use.
That was not the way it's strong. That was definitely a weird one.
Yeah, you definitely want to use you want to use it as a movement tool or a gap closer tool rather than a projectile.
Abscond Abduct lands. Kairos will be able to get so much damage, and that
Jesus.
Petricite Burst will be able to find the kill. Unfortunately, it does look like it's going to be Everfrost Silas this game. It's good into Rakan Hecarim. I don't disagree with it, but I just like seeing the Liandry's build more. It's more fun.
It is more fun, but I think we both know that it's just a better option, even though it's a more generic one.
Yeah. Unstoppable Force stolen away by Kairos here. So, with that Malphite with Talia off of the map, Shining Light will be able to secure themselves the Infernal Drake, find their first Drake of the game, even that counter out is... Oh, Lord, it's a Cloud Soul. All right, this is actually an exciting Cloud Soul game, unironically.
I mean, yeah, you have the quickness, first and foremost, with the Rakan. But then on top of that, Silas can just have any ultimate and then just get sped.
Shurelius has been popped. Wrath has the flash available, will get stunned up, knocked back into the team, flashes back in, but Kairos gets the kill in the backside. Viking finds the ult down onto only one, has to flash away. Kairos doing so much work, the Kingslayer keeping him alive. Bullet time comes through, will not be interrupted, but does not find a kill as Kairos finds their fourth kill of the game. Rango going to be taken low, but a seismic shot finds two! Infernos comes in huge with potentially a third kill coming through. Infernos just two members so low. The Petricite Burst, no Kairos! 5-0-0 now on the Silas as an over-aggressive Infernos will be punished.
He was feeling himself a little bit too much. I love that seismic toss though.
Rango's in the area though. Kairos no ultimate available, but will be able to get a decent amount of healing with that Kingslayer. Trying to find an out. Abscond comes through. Abduct will not, as Kairos flashes to get out alive.
Do you know how comfortable Cyro is with Aphelios?
Not at all.
Okay. I don't know. I feel like he has had a little bit too many ultimates go wide. And I'm just wondering if they picked Aphelios just because it looked good into the team composition, or if he actually feels comfortable playing it in general.
I mean, I feel like you have to feel comfortable to be picking Aphelios right now. So it feels like it has to be a comfort pick, especially on that R3, but Wrath does so much damage. Grand Entrance will not land. Handshake goes wide as well. So about an even health bar trade on the ADs, but Wrath is a level up right now and feeling really, really strong.
I guess it's just that I'm looking at it compared to the most, the best ADC right now. But this FL is just kind of lacking right now. He'll get stronger by the late game, but right now he definitely seems to be lacking a little bit of heat.
Church of Rango currently hovering around this bottom lane as well, as the Rift Herald has been started up by Shining Light Sentinels. If they're able to secure this, potentially could look to open up the other side lane. Hecarim just kind of playing to deny camps, it seems like, just walking in circles around the red buff. So has jumped over to those Krugs. Interested to see if there will be a play down, because Kairos is very far forward. Rift Herald actually looks to be potentially getting popped in the mid lane, as Directed Camera really likes top lane right now.
It's that top lane 1v1, you know?
Oh, the Grand Entrance is canceled! The Shelly charge comes through, and Fat Jester is forced to flash as a result, but Wrath is taken extremely low. Gale Force from Alpha Cyru will be able to secure the kill onto the Misfortune Weavers. Wall comes through, but Infernos goes on the wrong side, unfortunately. Mid lane turret does end up falling, but the kill goes back over to TD.
And, okay, to the viewers right now, did Gale Force get the kill? Yes. Would the Misfortune have died either way? I think so.
Probably.
Yeah, most likely, yeah. So, even though the Gale Force did take secure the kill for the Aphelios, Collector would have done the same job. He probably a little bit better. All I'm saying is don't get your hopes up for saying, you guys...
Rango pops the Ghost. Unstoppable Force comes through. Will land, but a beautiful Steadfast Presence. Vaughn cancels out the damage. Rango going to be taken low, but will Banana have enough damage to...
Of course.
Oh, no. Barely stays alive. Gets the kill. Alpha Cyru, no Flash, no Gale Force, no Cleanse, no way out. Will end up falling. Kairos gets that Kingslayer heal to come through. Infernos just trying to use those Qs, do some damage. Abscond Abduct lands another Kingslayer. Infernos has to flash away. Fat Jester is in the area, though. Beautiful Steadfast Presence once more as Fat Jester. That Quill does not land because of Gwen being immune. Banana Soul finding the shutdown, and oh no. I can't. Banana Soul is 4-0-4. Score not found. Gwen not found. Fat Jester just committing to the play, and unfortunately, Gwen so big as a result.
Listen, when you play against champions that have innate Omnivamp, you can't look at their health bars in face value. It's like looking at a low health Yone or a low health Yasuo with like full items. You know for a fact that that champion's gonna have a lot more health by the end of that 1v1 or by the end of that trade.
Yeah. Well, and especially with that Rift Maker, it's just so much damage. Actually, going into Shadow Flame 2 is, hey, look, MF's broken. Wrath finds the solo kill on to Alpha Cyru. Don't leave this champion open.
Or if you do, just pick something that's really good against it. But just
Needlework
ban it.
top side. Viking taken to about half HP, but just getting bullied out of the lane. Does have the TP, still has the ult. Might be able to look for a play somewhere, but this second Drake of the game for Shining Light should just be free. It will be their third of the game, of course, but it's shaping out to be potentially a little bit of a long one. The kills might say otherwise, but it's only a 3.5k gold difference right now.
Yeah, speaking of gold difference, let's first look at all the XP differentials going on right now. As of now, Banana Soul, of course, with the most XP in the game. Viking not too far behind in terms of XP.
Rango has to ult away. This is just going from bad to worse in this mid game for TD. And you mentioned it, that XP difference. Banana Soul, they're the same level right now, but just with that slight edge as, oh no, Viking is getting dove. Ultimate to try and get out, will be able to. And Kairos will be able to find the abduct, will be able to cancel out Inferno's TP. The seismic shove will disengage the fight, but that feels really, really bad for this Taliyah.
That was a lock screen issue. I could feel that. If you had a lock screen, you probably would have gotten it. But that's just me.
Oh. XP, yeah, it's tough. Solo lanes are doing really well for SLS. TD not as well.
Now let's look at the gold graphs. The ones that probably matter the most, and yeah, 8.8k gold on that Misfortune. And then not too far behind. I mean, you have just 3 players in the top 3. Like, Sentinels are in the top 3 right now.
Well, and it's gold where you want it, right? It's on the MF, it's on the Gwen. On the Poppy, I'll say, but it's not great.
It never hurts.
Yeah, you're never mad about having gold on Poppy. You're just like, okay, that's good, I guess. But yeah, being on the MF, being on the Gwen, you have a decent chunk of gold on Silas as well. Like, not a slouch there. You're just not breaking into the top 3. Hecarim's a power farmer. I apologize, but Kairos is doing really, really well this game too.
Yes. Kairos is definitely doing really well, especially... I mean, just 5-0. He has 10 stacks of the ring.
Oh, Banana Soul, though, might be caught a little too far up. Trisha Ringo will get the ghost down. Knock back Banana Soul. Needlework comes through, trying to stay alive. The Q does not find too much damage, too much healing as Banana Soul just ghosting, trying to run them around the map. Wrath, though, in the meantime, finding the kill onto Alpha Cyru in the mid side. The trade of Aphelios for Gwen, and now you get the tier 2 as a result. Vaughn playing aggro, trying to play forward. Will stun the Rakan against the wall, cancels out that W as well. Hostile takeover lands. Fat Jester will have to flash away. Seismic Shove will dissuade any further aggression, but Malphite in the area. Viking still has the ultimate, might be wanting to look. Kairos did steal away the quickness, but doesn't really want to look for the fight right now.
Not just yet. I mean, yeah, you still need to wait for your Everfrost if you're gonna do a quickness combo. Or even just go back to base and, like I said, get a death note. Why not? You have 5 kills. What's the worst that can happen?
Okay, don't say that, because every time I do this, where I'm like, oh, I have a 10-stack Medjais, I'm gonna go back buy a 10-stack Darksteel. Time to go buy Medjais, and then I say bye-bye 10 stacks right after. It feels like a curse.
Caster prediction, he's gonna go bite the death note.
Nope, bought Hourglass.
Oh, okay.
I like this way more. Also, of note, big change this patch, because I don't ever get to bring this up anymore. Hourglass got some tweaks to it. It costs more gold, gives you a little more AP and a little more, I believe it was ability haste as well. So it's harder to buy is the big thing, and people like that. It's a pretty healthy change overall. I'm excited to see with this now Sylas does a little more damage as a result in that slot. So maybe this 2-item spike is even more ridiculous for Sylas going forward. But we'll see.
I was gonna say, Sonya's Hourglass feels more like a second item now than it ever felt before.
Yes. Yeah. And it's still, for a lot of champs, it was a second item still, but it is even more so one now.
Yeah, like that's what I'm saying. Like sometimes you build like Prowler's Claw and then Collector, or you build...
misses from Seismic Shove will get Infernosk to safety, but the flash comes through. Vaughn will follow it. Another Abscond Abduct lands, and Infernosk just getting bullied. But the Guardian and that Battle Dance coming in from the Fat Jester, able to keep him alive. Phantom says hostile takeover for funsies, as Drake now spawning in 15 seconds.
You know, this Poppy has done more Hecarim plays than Hecarim.
Yep. I have nothing else to say to that. Viking pushing up in the top side, has the TP available as well as that ultimate, but it does look like TD are just going to cut their losses. Give this Drake over. Soul Point now for Shining Light Sentinels. 3 Drakes to 1.
Late.
And Cloud Soul.
No way.
That was a little interesting. Infernosk getting flashed on. The handshake comes through. The Seismic Shove does not land. Wrath 7 and 5 now on the Misfortune as a result.
I mean, now what TD Aftermath need to do now is just hold out for late game. That's the one hope that they have now. Just wait for like the very late game where gold difference doesn't mean that much, where everybody is near the top level, because this is Sentinel's power spike. Like, Sylas loves mid game. Gwen absolutely loves mid game, and Misfortune, she's Misfortune. We don't have to talk about Misfortune.
Well, MF's mid game is still fairly strong at this point. She's on 3 items. You're kind of creeping towards that late game where she gets strong, right? So yeah. We mentioned it as well. The mid game was kind of TD Aftermath's last hurrah. I don't know if I want to phrase it like that, but that was definitely their biggest window to make something happen. And that's kind of where they started to fall apart. Their early lanes went really, really well, but Shining Light's mid game has been stellar as they do choose to start up the Baron here. Talia has the teleport available. Kairos as well. Matching has one of his own. Baron has spotted. 3k HP left on this. Rango is spotted. Ult can come through. Will be able to do so, but the Berserk comes through and the Baron is secured by the Poppy. Bullet time, finding 2. It goes over to other people, but the damage coming through regardless as Shining Light secures a Baron and 2 kills.
That was the most beautiful Misfortunal I've seen in a while. That was great. Honestly, I feel like you waited for the right time that the Baron wasn't gonna get jeopardized by deal, but also not late enough that it was just throwing it way later. I feel like it was a great spot to throw it.
Yeah, really good timing, really good position on that, of course, and it nets Shining Light Sentinels now about an 8.3 thousand gold lead, sitting firmly in control of this game. And Kairos, we mentioned it, stellar early game, 5-0-0. Been a little quiet since that early game. Still 5-0-0, but creating so much pressure. Infernosk is not able to move as a result. There is not really a fight that can come through as a result of the pressure he's been able to exert this game. And Wrath's doing some pretty good damage. Vaughn secures that crucial smite. If that smite goes over, there's a decent chance, you know, they still take the fight, sure, but they might not even be able to push for that inhibitor. So crucial plays coming out from key members of Shining Light right now. Cloud Soul in 2 minutes for them as mid inhib down. They're looking to push bot.
That's right. And then again, just like Procom said, they're taking advantage of their split capabilities. Gwen, she's probably worth 2 or 3 champions worth of, you know, pressure. And then when you're playing a 1-4 comp, you have to, you know, just choose, like, pick 1 or 2 and then take your chances. Cut your losses.
Yeah, you got to take a fight on one side to shut this kind of a play down. So we'll see if there's any sort of response to come through. Keep your eyes on Church of Rango and the Fat Jester, especially with that Steadfast Presence burned. The Fat Jester has that R, has the W, has the flash. This could be the window. Phantom waiting in the wings. Might be looking for that hostile takeover.
That was a good ult to take. That was a good ult to take in this situation.
Has been stolen. Onslaught of Shadows available for Kairos. Rango might have to look as well, but the Steadfast Presence is back up. Keeper's Verdict to try and dissuade any sort of a fight. As the flash is forced from Infernosk, Inhibitor Tower falls. The Inhibitor will follow. That's 2 inhibitors down. Viking nowhere to be found right now. On the flank, might be looking for the play, might be looking for the fight, but SL backing away. Ratho all alone. This could be bad, but no. TD does not want to look for the play. Wrath still pretty far forward. They see the reset come through, I believe, from the Poppy, from the Gwen, but Drake spawning in 30 seconds. Wrath is so greedy, so alone, and not getting punished.
I mean, TD8 hasn't really shown any signs of aggro to prompt the Misfortune not to play this recklessly. I'm not saying that she should, especially with such a big shutdown on her head. But at the same time, they're showing you that you can just, you know, growl at them and they are not going to do anything.
Kairos finds the Abscond Abduct. Onslaught of Shadows comes through. Fears Church of Rango with his own ultimate. Gwen finds 2 with the Needlework. Bullet Time comes through as well as Viking will end up falling to Kairos, finally finding a 6th kill of the game. That is 4 kills, 2 inhibitors down, and Aphelios versus the world. I think it's just game 1 for Shining Light Sentinels.
Yeah, me too. So much for Taco Cat's prediction of TDA winning 2-0, but you know, or did he say 2-1?
I normally just go back and watch it to remember, because I never remember during the night, but Nexus under threat will just be falling. Again, Shining Light Sentinels, a pretty dominant showing here in game number 1. The early game was a little rocky, especially in that 2v2, but once they got to that mid game, it was lights out.
Definitely. I mean, my final thoughts for the game is that in terms of laning phase individually, except for Gwen the top laner, everybody could use a little bit more of just like, I don't want to say micro spacing, but they definitely need to know where they're standing, because a lot of the times they were dying because they were too far ahead or they were too far behind. At the end of the day, their teamwork in general was absolutely fantastic. And if it wasn't for the vertical jungling at the very beginning of the game and Poppy evening the tides, I think we would have seen a very, very different game 1.
Yeah, it was an interesting series of events in that early game. The vertical that felt like it benefited SL, and then all of a sudden SL loses the 2v2, and it was just some weird stuff happening. But we'll have to see if some of those mistakes early on are able to be tightened up by Shining Light Sentinels, or if TD Aftermath are going to be able to bounce back, force us to game number 3 tonight. Only one way to find out. We're going to take a short break. Game number 2 of Shining Light Sentinels TD Aftermath right after this. Well, that was a game.
That was a game.
That's the best intro I got. Welcome back, everybody. Game number 2, TD Aftermath and SL Sentinels. We mentioned it at the end of last game. TD's early game was surprisingly good for an Aphelios 2v2 lane, and SL's was surprisingly bad for an MF 2v2 lane, and then the entire game got flipped on its head. So I want to see if we're going to get something a little more normal happening this time around, or realistically what's going to happen, because TD, I think, needs some drastic changes to take a game here and force game number 3.
Exactly, and I mean that's kind of what I mentioned before in the pre-show, that League of Legends is not really a game of how strong you are. It's mostly a game of like, what's the biggest mistake that happens, or you know, like the weakest link in a team. So I guess even though, yes, the Aphelios and the Rakan were really strong, let's say strong in the early game, at the end of the day, I feel like TD Aftermath lost because the Poppy chose the right side of the vertical jungle, because the Gwen became a problem, and by the time Hecarim, Malphite, and Rakan all came top lane, they gave a triple kill to the Gwen, and honestly, that was just probably the biggest blunder. And
that's where the question comes in, right? Like, if you are Church of Rango here, arguably the player to watch when it comes to TD Aftermath, opting into that vertical, saying, I'm starting my top side, going to invade their top side, it just sets up Vaughn to have a field day with that bottom lane. Whereas if you start top path down, you meet the Poppy early, you have that potential for the early skirmish, you have the potential for potentially just forcing her to play standard clear towards top or match you in the clear bot side, which you will outspeed her in. You have that pressure.
1000%.
So it just feels like a misidentification of what the enemy team's win condition is, and just allowing them to play to it.
And yeah, well, as a matter of fact, we actually did start the draft, and we see again a Kai'Sa ban again, but we see the Misfortune this time, so they are learning. There's progress. On top of that, we also see that there is a Wukong ban. There is
I don't care about the bans. That's a... We just B1'd Bard. Okay, so I don't really know why you ever do this. This is definitely not a pick that's blindable right now. And Kate Morg is a perfect answer to it. One of the most oppressive lanes in the history of League of Legends versus someone who is not going to be in lane ever. The only way this is salvageable is if you kind of just pick Ezreal and say, we're going to just chill. And even then, Ezreal's not going to have fun. So, Cyru, best of luck. Your support just left you out to the wolves this game.
Now, yes, bot lane might be doomed, but at the end of the day, there are 2 more lanes. Let's see what the other lanes are. And we already see that it's not going to be an Ezreal. There's going to be a Sivir. So they're opting for the late game.
It's the same idea. Sivir does well into both these champs. You can walk over Kate traps, you can walk over Morg bind and not really care at all. You have a decent amount of wave clear, you're a pretty safe champ. The big issue now is if Sentinels decides to run any sort of a tank jungler, and Sivir is not able to keep this wave consistently cleared, she's getting dove on repeat. It is going to be so easy to shut her down. She has no mobility. Nocturne locked in as well. Not huge on this pick in the Morgana. Single target fear, single target spell shield.
Not only that, but I feel like there's a little bit of counter synergy with the Bard, because Bard usually wants to take a big chunk and leave it out of the fight. Nocturne,
there it is,
wants to be in the fight, and man, yeah, it's team composition wise, I feel like you're going comfort pick versus I'm gonna win.
I mean, there is something to be said. Like, you still have some sort of a fight coming through. Sivir is always going to have that R button. You're running a very run-at-you kind of team for TD Aftermath right now. But the concern is, if Sentinels shut down Sivir, this champion takes forever to get online from behind.
Especially after the changes,
the nerfs. Yeah. So we'll see. You also locked in Volibear for, I'm assuming, Vaughn, which means Sivir kind of just cries. Like, sure, she can spell shield the Q, she can spell shield Morgana Q, Caitlyn W, one of the things, but she can't spell shield all of them. Sure, 2 of them are pretty easy to dodge or deal with in some other capacity, so you can save it for the Volibear Q, but, well, he presses R and a turret goes offline.
Exactly,
so...
it's like, and Victor, oh my god.
Yeah, this is looking tough.
This is such a good comp. Okay, here's the thing. Sure, TD Aftermath has a composition that is run at you. You have Caitlyn Morgana, and now you put a Victor down. This team composition wants you to run at them. Victor wants the opponents to run at him so that he can put his trap down, and then he just runs away with Q and then W. How do you feel about this Corki pick?
I mean, all right, Corki's fine here. Actually, Corki and the Victor is a fine matchup. It's, you know, what we saw for the longest time after First Strike was released. You just kind of go even no matter what.
Okay.
But we'll see. Okay, and you're running Nocturne Shen. Sure, that makes sense. Also, the big thing with Corki is, like, Volibear can't ever catch him, right?
Yeah.
Valkyrie is a really strong ability, so we'll have to see. The Shen, I'm assuming, is blind, but you might match the volley into it. I don't think it's a great time, but we'll see. Could be the option for Banana Soul up in the top side as we await this last pick. That Volibear flexibility, always the question mark. It's going to be the Ornn. Please lock Ornn. Don't lock Akali. Thank you. Ornn going to be locked in. Sentinels, this is the most stock standards of stock standard drafts.
I mean, Caitlyn Morgana, just, you know, peanut butter and jelly. It just goes so well with almost every comp that you're running, just because it's very self-contained, in my opinion. I mean, Ornn is great. It keeps your team relevant even in the late game. Ornn is also the tankiest assassin in the game. He has just great % health damage. He has really good ultimate capabilities. And speaking of ultimate capabilities, I mean, you have Volibear and Victor. Victor, with their little storm thing that chases people around, if he gets ahead, that thing's gonna become a problem. Especially for characters like Sivir, that although, sure, they have a spell shield, they're not the tankiest people. So if you just put the Victor ultimate on the Sivir in a team fight, she's not gonna have a fun time. Yeah,
I mean, you can spell shield 1 tick, and the other, like, 6 hit you. So
exactly.
It's not fun.
And let's say that you want to spell shield, like, a stun from Volibear, but Victor just puts the ult on you. Well, guess what? Your spell shield just absorbed the tick, and now you're dead because all the stuns came in. Now, go ahead.
I mean, the big thing for me is, of note, both these teams, for lack of a better term, absolutely suck in the mid game. Right? Like, they're not mid-game champs. Their early games are even pretty bad. Like, you have this Caitlyn for your early. Both teams are powerhouses late game. So it feels like it's going to be a very long game, but a fun one to watch nonetheless, no?
I want to agree with you. But the fact that they have Volibear kind of just changes the tides for a little bit. Sure, Shen can kind of help people out with the ultimate. But you're banking on the Shen not being near the Ornn so that the Ornn can cancel, you know, the teleport. At the end of the day, what I think it's gonna happen is that it's gonna depend, again, on the jungler, on the Volibear specifically. Because then at the late game, it's just gonna be a matter of who reaches late game first. Is it gonna be the Corki? Is it gonna be the Sivir? Or is it gonna be the Victor? Is it gonna be the Caitlyn? I personally just think that Caitlyn, even if she's a little bit behind, the fact that she has a range advantage is always going to be really useful. Especially against characters like the Sivir, like the Corki, that sure, they deal a lot of damage, but Corki has to aim skill shots. Caitlyn has to put traps and right-click on people's heads.
Now, hold on a second. You say Corki has to aim skill shots. I say that he has a rocket up every, like, 3 seconds in late game, fair. So it doesn't really matter. But if one rocket lands, it does so much damage. Now, granted, you mentioned it. Ornn Volibear, you have a pretty beefy front line. Trying to poke that down could be tricky, and there's going to be 3 different Drake types in this game. The odds of one of those being Ocean is pretty substantial, and Corki against Ocean Drake is not a fun time. They just kind of sit back and heal for free, and that's before either frontliner might build Warmogs, right? So we'll see what ends up happening for some itemization, but
and
I'm excited for this one.
Yeah, we're also going to see the post-draft pro comms showing us pretty much exactly what we talked about. So for the early game, like we said, because the Caitlyn is there, there's going to be a far stronger early game for the side of the blue team, but as we see, the mid game is actually going to be a little bit of the advantage of TD Aftermath. It's going to be a Siege split comp versus a Siege engage comp. Pretty self-explanatory. You have a Volibear and you have a Shen. One of them wants to split push and is able to come into fights later. One of them wants to start the team fights themselves. Into the late game, they're both going to be a little bit even. They're actually just going to be even. I think early game is going to be the determining factor, and how not far behind you get.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of agree with you. I think it's going to be a game of mitigating losses. The big thing to note, you mentioned it, both teams have this kind of siege style that can come through. If TD Aftermath is ahead, Corki Rocket, Sivir Q, you have so much poke that can come through. It is insane how much damage these two champions can do in a stage. On the flip side, if you're ahead with SL's comp, you have Mortal Snaptrap, you have the Gravity Field. Both are extremely strong zone tools that can just force people away from tower if you're able to set up. So it's going to be very interesting to see how this game is played out. Both teams kind of play in this similar style, and it's going to be a very exciting game to watch, maybe post 25 minutes, but it'll be exciting at some point for sure. But with that said, SL Sentinels looking to wrap it up, lock themselves into that top seed of the gauntlet here with a win in game number 2. TD Aftermath fighting for a higher gauntlet seed themselves right now. They need to win this game, but if SL wins, it's 4th, it's the end of the night, and it makes my life a hell of a lot easier later tonight. With that said, we're going to take a short break before hopping onto the Rift game number 2. SL Sentinels looking to close this one out in 2-0 fashion. Welcome back, everybody, to game number 2 between TD Aftermath and Shining Light Sentinels. TD with a bit of a spicier draft this time around, but we were mentioning this a little bit before the break and even during the break between each other. Both teams at least have an identity, right? We at least have a win condition. We have something that we are looking to do, so should be an exciting game to watch.
Interesting. Okay, so man, I like to talk about this first strike matchups just because it's so fun to see who's gonna hit who first. I mean, level 1 up until level 6, Victor is of course gonna get the upper hand with the first strike. But after level 6, I think Cork is definitely gonna get more of the mileage. So, go ahead.
Yes and no. The reason I say no is because Gatling Gun is instant speed, right? Whereas you have the travel time. There's even a world where both of them proc first strike in a skirmish, because it technically has a 0.25 second lockout on it. Really, really fun interactions that can come through there. However, generally speaking, Victor should probably be running Airy. It's just better for his lane domination. And yeah, at the level 1, Corky normally starts that Foss Bomb, which generally means he's not going to have that same potential as the Cosmic Binding lands and Phantom loses half of his HP for it.
Understandable. I mean, you set an award. The attempt was there. I respect the attempt. Let's talk about Morgana support as two Morgana enjoyers, as we are, as the audience already knows.
I mean, I wish, now that I'm realizing this, I'm surprised they didn't have a pop-off when it was locked in, because I love seeing this champion. She's in such a bad spot right now.
Yeah.
It's playable into the Bard lane, not so much into the Sivir lane, but I do like this adaptation of the Arcane Comet coming through, as Wrath will get stunned up there by the Cosmic Binding, it looked like, but Spell Shield can only block one thing, and Comet will count. So you can force the Comet to eat the Spell Shield with that Tormented Shadow coming through, and then follow it up with the Dark Binding as well. There's some interesting interactions. It's kind of like you put the W down, you throw the bind, and you just pray that the travel time works out in such a way.
Ooh,
it's some fun that can happen. Steering charge up on the top side, but yeah, dodge zone from Viking, really smart level 2 scaling of that ability.
Okay, hear me out. I would have liked to see Guardian on Morgana, because I feel like Morgana's role in this team composition is have the people to keep away, and Guardian is just a nice add-on to the engages. In the early game, Caitlyn Morgana is not really gonna win against Sivir, even though Sivir's early game is not that good, except for this engage right now.
The flash coming through from Phantom. Exhaust down onto Alpha Cyru, who will flash away as well. The binding goes wide as Phantom's gonna be taken low, will just walk away. Piltover Peacemaker will not secure the kill, but does secure the Fat Jester's flash. Will just be 3 summoners for 3 down in the bottom lane. Phantom, though, might be getting spicy. Did step out of the bush. This is known. Cyru in the area will get flashed on. The stun comes through the cleanse as well, but Cyru already super low. First blood going over to Vaughn. Wrath flashing for fun as the Fat Jester will be autoed down, will be taken low as Wrath now finds that kill. The flash no longer for fun, finding the first kill for this Caitlyn.
Yeah, I mean, as I was saying, Sivir Bard early game can do a lot better against Morgana Caitlyn, as long as the Morgana doesn't land the kills and the Bard does, of course. It's a very nuanced lane. I would have liked to see the Guardian, because even if you don't land your Qs, you can point and click your E's, and whoever you tag with shields, whether it's a spell shield or a normal shield, your Guardian's gonna proc on it. I don't know if many people know that, but
so yes, but I actually would have liked, if you want to go for the more defensive option, I actually would have preferred Glacial here, I think. When you're into a lot of this like dive heavy stuff, it feels really good to just say you do less damage. Your AD carry will thank you. Some fun tech there. But Searing Charge lands, the Shadow Dash comes through as well. Banana Soul's pretty low on mana. Does have that Tear of the Goddess, but just trying to sit around and do some Ornn things. Bellow's Breath comes through. Viking not really at threat, and actually is winning out on these trades as a result. Banana Soul will have to reset here, take that, and TP back. But yeah, big sequence down in that bottom lane. Vaughn coming in clutch, and a little bit of an overstay for both sides, but heavily benefits SL.
Yeah, I 100% agree. I mean, Bond able to get 2 kills, even though the Caitlyn didn't get an assist there, a kill, especially in a bot lane matchup.
Breath. 2 autos canceled by that. Spirit's Refuge, by the way. That feels really bad.
No.
Jester, though, walks straight into a Volibear. Will get stunned up. Dark Binding comes down as well. Phantom finds that kill. Oh, no. We're going to have a Morgana build discussion, I think. But Alpha Cyru trying to get a little bit of damage back with those ricochets. Piltover Peacemaker will be spell shielded, so damage turns into a heal. Oh, Dark Binding lands. No Tormented Shadow available. Will finally go down now, but yeah. Look, Kate Morg is a lane bully and doing well in the early game.
Yep. Yeah, I don't know what I was thinking when I said that Sivir Bard win against this. I completely take that back.
It's hard. If you get the early push against Caitlyn, it can be really hard for her to get back into that lane bully state. So Sivir can do well in that regard, but the Morgana kind of can neutralize that. Tormented Shadow does a lot of damage to a wave and resets on cannon minions, don't forget. So,
yep.
Feels pretty good there.
Gotta love it. But now, let's talk about the Morgana build. So, now that Sonia's costs a lot more, would you go first item Sonia still, just because it gives a little bit of extra AP?
Alright, I'm the Psycho Morgana player who actually would go Zhonya's 2 or 3, but we'll actually hold because Syra might be caught here. Spell Shield on the Dark Binding, Fleet of Foot triggers as a result, so we'll be able to walk away. And yeah, we see Bard on the roam. This is kind of what we expected at this point from the B1 Bard. Yeah, I am a huge fan of Shirelia's Rush on Morgana. I think it is so ungodly good. Please stop building AP unless you are the only AP champ on your team. It is not good. It feels really bad. It's too high econ. Please stop.
Okay, but what about Banner?
May it rest easy. Dark Binding lands. Phantom does find that, takes the tower shot in return. Assist ping's coming through, though. Church of Rango does just tick over to level 6, and I don't think Shining Light's bot lane is ready for this, so we should see that Paranoia coming down. Should be coming into the bot side as it does land on to... nope, that is the Caitlyn. Wrath gonna end up falling. Dark... Well, Cosmic Binding lands as well. Rango, though, will have to flash forward to secure the double kill, as now Vaughn is here, level 6 of his own, finds... Oh, no! The Stand United comes through and keeps Church of Rango alive. However, that does free up Banana Soul to catch this wave, push this tower in, but huge plays for TD Aftermath, picking up 2 for this Nocturne.
Also wanted to mention that Ornn burnt the ultimate to try to catch Viking out of the ultimate, but unfortunately it was just too little too late. But yeah, I mean, really nice play to bounce back at... What?
Honestly, not bad, because Fat Jester is dead. Flashes away for no reason, will just die anyway. Piltover Peacemaker secures the kill, so the execute actually looking kind of smurf for Alpha Cyru, even though it was totally unintentional.
I still feel like the Bard could have gotten away.
Yeah,
like,
maybe if you flash different and try to...
Yeah.
I mean, the thing is that alcove wall is really weird, so sometimes it'll play nice and other times it won't.
I was gonna say, you flash through the alcove mid piece, right? And then you
tunnel
use the
from alcove corner, yeah.
That's what I would have done.
That wall, this coming from someone who used to spam a lot of Zeri too, that wall is just really jank. So it is not reliable at all. It feels really bad.
Listen, if you play Bard, you just embrace the jank.
That's you know what, fair enough. I can't argue with that. Vaughn, though, takes that dragon in the early game. So Shining Light, first time they get the first Drake of the game in this series. Sample size of 2, so, you know, good job to them. But will be trying to transition this into that Rift Herald. Of course, Shen, no Stand United available, will be in this top lane. Just the 2 AD carries in the bot side. But the damage advantage feels like it's over to the side of SL right now. Paranoia available shortly, but will not be for a bit. Ornn in the area.
Paranoia.
Fat Jester taken to about half. Paranoia available for Church of Rango. Might be looking, has the word down, but TD Aftermath going to call this one off. Rift Herald secured once more by SL Sentinels as they get both neutrals in this early game. Not too often we see that coming through as Viking and Banana Soul spot each other out. Paranoia is available, has been burned. And yeah, Orange just gonna die. Fat Jester looking for more, will not find that Cosmic Binding through the wall. Good pick, as now Church of Rango 3-0 on the Nocturne.
Okay, you get the kill, but you lost 2 objectives, one of them being the first hurdle, which I'd say is probably one of the most valuable objectives at the moment. I also want to say as well that I don't know why the side of TDA did not just trade immediately the Herald.
Alpha Siru and Wrath are... Oh my god!
I love Caitlyn.
90 caliber net Piltover Peacemaker combo. Dark Binding lands from Phantom on to the Fat Jester as Kairos, I think,
Victor?
disconnected again, so we're probably getting another pause here in a second. Oh, he's back. He's back. That is unfortunate. Did happen in game 1. Tough. Hey, I mean, Victor has first upgrade, though, right? Like, 96 CS. You're assuming at least one of those is a cannon, so that will be first upgrade. Pretty good spike right now for the side of SL Sentinels.
Pretty good spike indeed. Another thing that I want to mention is in terms of 1v1, Caitlyn is such a volatile champion, and by volatile I mean it just depends on how cracked the Caitlyn is. For the lack of a better term, how cracked the Caitlyn is, because some Caitlyns are amazing and can auto you like 3 headshots in like less than 2 seconds.
Got in the top lane. Viking gonna flash nothing and then get hit with the Searing Charge. Bella's Breath does not land, actually. Flame Pillar comes down, but it will not be enough.
You're dead.
Viking actually wins this and gets the kill. Dark Binding lands down on the bot side. Bard just going to take a little bit of damage. Caitlyn trap as well. And 90 caliber net for that last headshot. Wrath going to exhaust down Alpha Siru, who's going to be able to get the Stand United Paranoia coming down onto the Caitlyn. But here comes Vaughn. Spell immune, so the fear does not come through. Ult coming through from Vaughn as well. Church of Rango in no man's land as a result, trying to use that Assassin's Path to get out. Rather, that is not the ability name, that's Talony. But it's fine. We got there in the end. Big shutdown going over as well, as now Wrath is 4-1-2 on the Caitlyn. Has the Kraken Slayer even, so not scared of this Nocturne one bit. Alpha Siru, though, going to have to run away fleet of foot just to try and keep kiting this out as the missiles land, but the Dark Binding lands as well. Valkyrie is available, will be used. Tempered Fate lands onto 3. Not enough damage to follow it up, though, as Kairos will be able to find more. The Dark Binding will not land. The Spell Shield came through as well, but On the Hunt has to be popped in order for Alpha Siru to get out alive.
More like On the Run. Alpha Siru just had to disengage from that whole interaction. Honestly, if I was playing the Caitlyn and if I was this far ahead, I would also go for the Kraken Slayer, just because like Phantom shows that he's comfortable enough to keep his ADC safe, and also like you have a Bolivar to also tank for you and an Ornn. Like you're all as a Caitlyn, you should always have an ally near you, just because you're really great far away, but when somebody's close up to you, you better have a bodyguard. So as long as you keep bodyguards together, Kraken Slayer is just gonna become an even better item.
Yeah, my concern though is when this game gets a little later, Corki, picks up a package, hits one rocket onto someone that has that black shield down. That fear tether still goes through. The taunt will come through from Shen. Like, there are so many things that you want to try and get away from, and that extra move speed from the Mythic passive, the active as well, just does so much work against something like Nocturne, something like Shen. So I actually still think even with that protection of Morgana, it might still just be worthwhile to go for that more defensive option. Your damage is still incredible, as that Duskbringer, as I found out the name of just now, lands. Church of Rango dodges out from that Dark Binding. Fear comes down onto Vaughn. No ult coming through quite yet. Call the Forge God lands onto just 2, as in the backside, Morgana's going to be able to get a decent amount of damage down. Banana Soul ends up falling right after SL Vaughn does.
Jesus.
But on the flip side, Phantom and Ace in the Hole. Wrath finding the double kill with that ultimate, as Kairos just trying to chase down Church of Rango. Sweeper available. Will be able to get that Duskbringer. The Fear coming through as well. Tempered Fate going to go wide. Will not be able to secure any sort of escape or kill there, as Dark Binding lands.
Kill.
Tormented Shadow. It's Leandere's Morgana. I'm going to cry, but does secure the kill there, as Church of Rango now in the flank. Wrath finds the 90 caliber net into the Piltover Peacemaker, into the Yordle Snap Trap. Beautifully played. Wrath just styling on the jungler of TD Aftermath.
Wrath is just playing Valorant right now. He's just right clicking heads.
Headshot after headshot. Yeah. Adam, if you're listening, that's what you should be doing in your Valorant games, by the way.
Sure, okay.
Love you, buddy. Anyway, carry on. Drake to SL Sentinels.
Listen, I'm still really liking this Kraken Slayer on the Caitlyn just because, I mean, Wrath just feels very competent in this character, and just because you can get so many headshots, the Kraken Slayer is just adding so much.
I mean, it does feel good as well when Rango decides to all in on the double front line with the Paranoia. Realistically, I don't think you ever ult onto the Volibear Orin. Sure, you got the double kill, but it just keeps Caitlyn alive because that is the main source of dive. If Corki package is not available, there is nothing left. So it just, again, feels like a misidentification of what it is that needs to be shut down from SL's team to really shut them down as a whole. I think going forward, you see 7-1 Caitlyn is Nocturne, and you're like, I'm pressing R there every time, but until then, it hasn't looked great.
I mean, it's something that I think I mentioned during the break rather than live, but sometimes on paper a composition seems really good. You might have gotten the idea either online or brainstorming with people and saying, oh, you're really good with this champion, and this champion is really good with this champion. And then on paper, you see a really good wombo combo, but once you put it into practice, you sometimes see that the pieces don't always fall as you like them to go.
Oh, Rango might be caught. Call of the Forge God is available. Banana's not going to pull the trigger on that. Fat Chester will just use that tunnel to get on out of there. And Fernosk is pushing out the bot side. Phantom not going to be able to find that Dark Binding. On the hunt, pop by Alpha Sire, who's going to be taken low. Paranoia here, but Church of Rango, rather, not going to be able to use the R2. So Wrath able to find that ace in the hole, secure the kill down onto the Sivir for a tier 1, realistically, as they end up securing that Rift Herald as well. Objective bounty claimed, about 250 gold back, but that does not make up for the play that just happened for TDA.
I mean...
Oh my gosh, flash forward, Soul Shackles come through, Phantom finding the kill in the 1v2. Another Tormented Shadow comes down as well. Dark Binding will land. Ultimate coming through from Vaughn.
Yeah.
Viking will fall. Kairos going to pick that one up. 1-0-1 now on the Victor. And Victor is officially online.
Yes, sir. And, I mean, listen, Leandri's Anguish and Morgana is a bit of an expensive item. We all know that. But you're a Morgana that has 3 kills and 7 assists. I would treat myself. You have enough kills, in my opinion, just to go for it.
I just hate it.
That
was almost a really good Tempered Fate. There is that interaction with Rift Herald and Tempered Fate where if you put it down as the Herald's charging, it does 0 damage to the turret and still loses its health. Really funny. However, didn't time it quite right. The Tempered Fate wore off right as the charge hit, so unfortunate there. Is actually... Wrath gets stunned up. No follow-through to come through yet, but Banana Soul's in the bot side. Paranoia is available for Church of Rango. You cannot channel that teleport while the Paranoia is active, so this would have to be preemptive. And SL Sentinels smartly back away. Baron spawning here in just under a minute.
As a color caster, I feel really ashamed to admit this, but I actually didn't realize that you couldn't TP with Paranoia. That's so smart.
Because you can't see the wards, right? So I learned this the hard way while playing Shen against Nocturne once in a competitive game. I tried to press R on somebody and then realized you can't because you can't see them.
Wait, you can't right-click their icon though?
Nope. Also doesn't work because you can't see them. So it's like it's a whole mess. Nocturne R is really, really, really strong. So yeah, global play really hard to do against Nocturne.
I thought Nocturne ult just made your comms go, I can't see, I can't see, I can't see, I can't see. I mean, I thought that's what Nocturne ult did.
Yeah, there is a lot more nuance to it. It is a really cool ability, actually, but yeah, it's pretty powerful.
Also, guys, play a drinking game. Go watch LCS with Nocturne and take a shot every time Nocturne ult goes off and everybody just says, I can't see on comms. Like...
No, the better drinking game is go watch LCS and see how many times Blabber ins for a grab.
Okay, that I mean, yeah. I didn't want our audience to die, but you know.
Yeah, it's tough. Drake here spawning in 20 seconds as well. Baron is available, but SL currently 2-0 on the Drake counter. Fat Chester and Infernosk in the area. Vaughn walking in here.
We didn't mention this, but there's another Cloud Drake in the play.
Yeah.
And Morgana with Cloud is Drake.
Half HP already. Before this fight even begins, Infernosk will be able to proc that first strike. Has to Valkyrie over the wall early, so that cooldown will be down for another few seconds. Ult. Oh yeah, Sivir's just out of the fight. Has no ult available. Shen had to ult to keep Sivir alive while we were watching that skirmish. So this is just the Drake for free going over to SL Sentinels. And now Church of Rango has not been able to find an in. That early game looked really strong. This Nocturne started, what, 3-0, 3-1, but has not been able to find an in since. And now the Paranoia is popped. Will not use the R2. Using it as disengage. Actually uses it now onto Wrath, but it's way too late. Tempered Fate onto 3 will keep this fight alive as Kairos finds the kill with the Aftershock Laser regardless. Ult to turn off the tower. No wave, though, as Banana Soul just tanks the turret for days. Does not care. Charge lands on to Infernosk, who will be able to pick up the kill. Unfortunately, Banana Soul falling to 0-4 as Viking gets tagged up by the Dark Binding. Will get tagged up as well by that Gravity Field. Gorgeous series of CC layering, and SL Sentinels kind of running away with this one.
Yeah, and I was gonna say, listen, Banana Soul, he got to pop off as Gwen last game. Now, you're playing Ornn, you're a tank, you're fine going 0-4.
It's not pretty. Yeah.
It's not pretty,
you're getting the job done.
Yeah. You know, yeah, sometimes you gotta be the side character. You gotta let the other people be the main character sometimes, and I'd say that's probably harder sometimes.
So, yeah, I mean, yeah. The animated protagonist of this game definitely feels like it's Wrath at the time. For the time being, like, just pumping everything into this Caitlyn seems to be unkillable. Even with, you know, how much pressure was put onto her in that last fight, but realistically, it was only Nocturne, right? Like, Sivir was out of the fight early, and Infernosk had gotten kind of zoned off early on as well. It's just really awkward so far. So we'll have to see. Maybe there's a package play with that Paranoia, with the Stand United, where they just layer everything onto Caitlyn. No defensive anything, right? Like, you have exhaust, sure, but no QSS, no cleanse. Yeah, that might be your window.
But riddle me this. You use all your abilities on the Caitlyn, and now you just have a Victor that has been untouched, you know? It's like, oh my god. I felt that one.
Oh, Tempered Fate lands. This could be a good look. Paranoia is available. Stand United is available, but the Fat Jester flashing. That's not Akshonar, buddy. That is an ace in the hole. Finds himself dead regardless. Very unfortunate there, as now you have to look. Caitlyn's at half HP. This is the only window you have before that red buff starts healing her. Alpha Siru trying to do damage, but tier 3 ends up falling. Duskbringer goes wide. Wrath trying to just play with this range advantage. Rango, though, here it comes. Ult coming through onto the Caitlyn. Call the Forge God does not land onto anything, but Church of Rango, the flash comes through from Wrath. It's gonna be all she wrote. SL Sentinels find the miracle fight, the double kill for Kairos as well. Kind of the slept-on hero of this game, but no wave clear left. Teleport available for the Victor. Baron buff for another minute, and that should be it. SL Sentinels looking to close this series out in 2-0 fashion.
I mean, the package came in too little, too late. Wrath is just way too strong. Even if you have a front line, you can't really repel a right click unless you're playing Braum. And at the end of the day, it's just going to be, like you said, a 2-0 victory from Shining Light Sentinels.
And again, we mentioned it at the top of the show, crucially, this does lock Shining Light Sentinels into that 4th seed in this division. What that means is next week, for their gauntlet run, they have to win a single best of 1. One game. That's it.
Just one.
If you win that game, you're in playoffs. They are the final boss, right? So, pretty good. They'll be able to scout out their competition over the course of the day. They'll be able to prep, do whatever they need to, but for TD Aftermath, they are going to be in the lower section. It's it's going to be tough. And again, if they want to make playoffs, this is a team they're going to have to figure out.
I mean, my recommendation is personally, it's really good that you're trying to go for team comps that have an identity. Like you said, their team comps have identity. But identities nowadays it's not enough. You have to adapt. There are 151 champions in the roster, and sometimes what you have in a spreadsheet, what you have in a Google Doc, might not cut it. Always be flexible to what the opponent is throwing at you. Sometimes champions that are in S tier are in S tier because they work with only one composition, or maybe they might be S tier because they're just good regardless. At the end of the day, they both played really well. They showed each other their strengths. Shining Light, Sentinels took the biggest W, and I really like their team.
Yeah, I mean, that was kind of the Sentinels I was expecting to see over the course of the whole season. Just playing calm, collected, smart,
also, I was
and
right.
winning
They won
games.
2-0.
Okay, yeah, fair enough. But, you know, that's a big win for them going into the gauntlet next week. Unfortunately, that was a kind of a quick game. I think that's probably the first series to be fully completed. I'm going to just double check on that before I lock it in. Yeah, so with that said, it's less than 2 hours for the series. And granted, game 1 was a little long, but game 2, I thought it was going to be a long game. Shining Light made me my words. Well played by them. Next week, gauntlet action here in Zero Gravity Gaming. Best of ones all night long. You win, you move on. You lose, your season ends right then, right there. It's going to be one hell of a night. I feel bad for you for having to run the broadcast for that, but
nah, it's going to be a fun time.
Oh, it's always a blast. It's going to be interesting. That will kick off at 8 o'clock Eastern per the norm. Next Thursday will be the start of Gauntlet for us here at the Gold League. It'll be a fun night for sure. And then after that, it's playoffs. We have, I think, a pretty weird playoff structure. We'll get into that more once we hit the pre-show for playoffs, of course. But once again, I would like to thank ProComps for sponsoring this season of ZGG. Use promo code ProComps for 50% off your first 3 months of a premium subscription with them. If you liked any of the stuff that we saw coming into our post-draft kind of analysis from them, really useful tool for that. For myself, the rest of the admin team, of course, my wonderful co-caster and producer for this evening, Combos there, and everyone else here at ZGG. Thank you all so much for tuning in. Congratulations once more to Shining Light Sentinels, and we will see you next week. Take it easy.